Greetings, everybody,
Welcome back to Ocosta News Network
with Millie.
and Mr. I.
Today is,
Thursday, July 2nd.
let's start this show with the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is Ray J with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Ray J. Hey, Millie,
Yeah?
anything new since the last time we talked?
Yes, there is. Little Richard's is open Saturday and Sunday from 7 to 2.
Woohoo! More donuts! The school district is working on plans to reopen the school in the fall. Stay tuned for more details.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything new with the fishing derby?
As a matter of fact, there is. We have a new leader for the largest Chinook. The prize for the largest Chinook is $10,000. This fish weighed 19.95 pounds, caught just a couple of days ago.
I like money.
Woohoo, are you going to go fishing?
Yes, I am.
Better buy a derby ticket.
Don't worry, I will.
Hey, Millie, what's this?
This is the Guinness World Records.
Oh, you have a world record to share with us?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is, can you guess what the world record is for a fire eater to extinguish fires in 1 minute?
13.
Nope.
More?
Way more.
49.
Nope.
Well, what is it, Millie?
It is 101.
Wow, amazing. Looks like he's trying to put out the fire when I'm roasting my marshmallow.
Yes, it does. Weekly quote. Do the thing you think you cannot do, by Eleanor Roosevelt.
This was shared with us by Ms. Lucas. Thanks, Ms. Lucas. Happy birthday. We've had some birthdays since we last met, Mills.
Mm-hmm.
On the 27th, it was Kennedy's birthday.
She's in 7th grade.
And Juan T's.
Is a freshman.
On the 28th, it was Brian's birthday.
He's a 7th grader also.
Yesterday was Kylie's birthday.
He was in Miss O'Meara's class.
And Brooklyn's, too.
Was in Miss Quimby's class. Today's birthdays include Natalie.
She was in Mr. Ball's class.
Angelina.
She was in Mr. Ball's class, too. And how about happy birthday tomorrow to Annalette?
He's in Mrs. George's class.
Lucas.
Was in Mrs. Samuelson's class.
And Serenity.
Was a senior.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Crazy laws. In Rhode Island, anyone who bites off another person's limb will face no more than 20 years in prison, but no less than 1.
Oh, I'm scared. Zombies better not be going to Rhode Island.
I don't think I will anytime soon. This is Life on the Beach with Sunny.
Hey, Ocosta. Thanks for coming to another video with me. And today I'm gonna be riding my bike on a BMX track. And I hope you like what I do. Bye. Thanks for watching Sunny's Life on the Beach with me. Bye.
Sunny wasn't exactly at the beach this time, but it still looked like he had fun on his BMX bike. Nice job, Sunny. Thanks for sharing.
This is the second part of my interview with Kim Holcomb. Enjoy. What do you think are good on-air personality traits?
My good on-air personality traits?
Yeah, what do you think are good ones to have?
Oh, well, I think it probably depends on each person. That's a hard question for me to answer about myself because I don't know. Half the time when I see myself on TV, I think, why is anybody watching me? Boy, you sounded dumb saying that, or your nose looks big, or whatever. I end up judging myself like that. But I think the people that resonate with me the most are the ones who are the most authentic, the ones who are not trying to be, like when I look back at video of myself from when I first started, I was seriously like this. I am Kim Holcomb reporting from the courthouse. I mean, it was so fake, and it was like I was trying to be this, person, but you should just be yourself, because that's what, that's all that any of us are. And I think that for me, that's what appeals to me the most when I'm watching people on TV, is where you can tell they're not pretending. They're just doing their job.
What does it feel like to win 6 Emmy Awards?
It felt nice, but I've also lost just as many. So that's important to keep in mind, is that, it's lovely to be recognized, but it's also, it doesn't change the work that you want to go out and do every day. Every story that I do, I legitimately put the same amount of thought into, whether it wins an Emmy or not. So, but I have also found that I usually win when I'm not there at the award ceremony. So maybe I should just never go, and then I'll win every year. Maybe that's the key.
All right. What did you do to win your Emmy Awards?
They've been for different things. Several of them have been for specific stories that I did. So it was, I did a story about a bald eagle who someone had shot his beak off. And this animal rehabilitation facility figured out a way to reattach it. And so we went to cover that reattachment. So it was an incredible story. And then other ones have been for reporting. So you send in what's called a montage. So it would be like 3 different stories that you've done that kind of represent your work throughout the year. Yeah. So a little bit of on-air stuff and writing would be, because when I talk about creating a story, me being on camera is like this much of it. The important part is the person that I'm interviewing and the writing that I'm doing to tell that story. The writing is fundamental to any, good journalism, no matter what. It's always about the writing. It's not about the person.
You've also won an Edward R. Murrow Award for writing. Have you ever listened to his broadcast from World War II?
I have, and I have not listened to a ton of them, but I read when I was in college a book called The Murrow Boys, which is so excellent because it is all about his broadcasting during World War II, and specifically the other journalists who worked with him, including a woman. And Millie, back then, not a lot of women were doing journalism like that, especially war correspondence. So yeah, I have been a big admirer of him for a long time, and that award was definitely the most special thing that I've ever won. Yeah, because that was for writing. That award was not for me being on TV. It was for something that I had written. So that was really nice.
How social distancing affected you and your job?
It has affected it in almost every way that you can think of. Every single member of Evening is working from home now. And what that means is even the people that edit our show, so they're the last people to touch it before it goes on the air, and they usually are right there in the station so that they can get it to the people that need to put it on the air. Even they are working from home. So they are the true heroes in this. We have 2 editors who do that, and they both had to literally teach themselves how to edit on a brand new system that they had never used before so we could work from home. So that was crazy. Most of the interviews I do now are like this, which, as you know, because you're doing this, it's kind of weird to not look someone in the eye as you're talking to them. But what I have also found is that it can be kind of, I don't know, in a weird way, it makes it a little more personal, right? Like, I know that we are with SpongeBob and Patrick right now, but like when you can see somebody's house behind them, and you kind of look around and you get a sense of who they are. And right now you are with me in my dining room, So I think there's something about that that's kind of neat and unexpected. I thought that was going to be really hard to be apart from people in that way. But in some ways, I don't know, I feel like we're all able to still be together. So that's pretty cool.
What is something that you've learned from this?
I have learned that, and this is the truth, this is not just me, like, being all sunshiny because you are a kid, but I have learned that kids are so much more resilient than adults. Like I look at, so my kids are, my daughter is 11 and my son is 14, and they are having to do what I imagine you're having to do right now, which is a lot of self teaching. They're on the computer trying to learn, and they are figuring out how to still chat with their friends and get that social interaction that you guys need. And we're all here in this house together. And I thought for sure, oh my gosh, we're going to get in so many arguments because we're going to be all over each other, but we haven't. And I just think that it's a testament to them that they just kind of realize this is where we are, and we'll get through it. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So I think that's what, and then I see adults not being that way all the time. So I guess what I've learned through this is to have even more respect for kids than I did before. Because man, I think you guys you could teach us a lot right now, honestly.
Yeah. If you weren't in the news business, what job would you see yourself doing?
That is such a tough question because I honestly don't know. I was talking about how it's important to have hobbies and things you can do when you're not working. I love my job so much that it doesn't actually feel like work a lot of the time. Even though I'm working hard at it, it's kind of doing all of those things that had always been my hobbies, which like talking to people and writing and telling stories. And so I have thought about that question because at some point I may need to figure out another job for myself, but I don't know what it is. Honestly, like I really love doing this. So if you have any suggestions, I'm open to hearing them because I don't know.
Sometimes news happens and it seems like reporting it would be easier than doing stories. What are editorial meetings like in which you come up with story ideas?
So it's very different working in a newsroom than working for evening. And it's different depending on what news organization you work for. But typically in a news meeting, those happen every morning. And there usually are not stories that have been planned out for that day because news is covered as it happens, right? So you go into the meeting that morning and there is usually one person named an assignment editor that will kind of run down a list of maybe things that happened overnight. Maybe there's going to be a court case that's happening that day. Maybe there's going to be a press conference at City Hall. So they go over everything that is newsworthy that day. And then the reporters are typically also tasked with coming up with their own ideas. It's called enterprising. So you want to enterprise the story, which means you come up with an idea that maybe nobody else thought to cover. And that can be any number of things. Like when quarantine started, one of my news ideas was advice for people who are extroverts, for the people that love to be around other people, that maybe it's going to be really hard for them to be inside and isolated. And so I ended up interviewing a psychiatrist about advice he could give to people who are extroverts. So that was my idea. So then the decisions are kind of made by the producers who decide what's going to be in each newscast. And they'll figure out, okay, we want you to cover this, we want you to cover that. At evening, it's a little different because we don't cover news that way. We cover feature stories and movies that are coming out and interesting people and places and things. So we come up with all of our own ideas, I would say 95% of the time. And so it'll, we use, right now we're using a thing called Microsoft Teams where we can kind of quick email each other. And so we'll send our ideas that way. And then our executive producer, who's kind of the person that runs our entire team and makes decisions about what should and shouldn't be on our show, she will give the okay, which is actually a shiny star that spins around. So she lets you know you can do it. And then we just kind of start pursuing the stories on our own.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
What was your favorite project, interview, or experience?
That is really hard too, because I have to say I have been so fortunate to work for evening. We're the only show like this in the entire country now. There's no other place in the United States that has a show like ours where we only cover, for the most part, happy, fun things, which includes travel. So I've gotten to, go to Australia and, Disneyland and play to cut for my work, for my job. So it's really hard for me to narrow that down. What I do think is true though, is that in my heart, every new story that I do becomes my new favorite story or my new favorite experience, because I wouldn't get to have that if I wasn't doing the job. So like, honestly, talking to you right now, that's going to be my next favorite story as soon as we're done, because I wouldn't have met you otherwise. We wouldn't have realized we have these same virtual backgrounds. And I think that's the real gift of journalism, is that you get to experience the world through other people's experiences. And that is just, it doesn't matter if they're a movie star or a person that lives next door to you, which frankly, I think the person that lives next door to you is more important anyway. But it's just so neat to be able to make connections with people and learn about their lives, whoever they are and wherever they are.
I still can't get over her background. I think you two must have planned that. Did you, Millie?
Nope. This is Grayson with the weather.
Hello and welcome to today's weekly announcement. I'm your host of today's Ocosta News Weather, Grayson Bearden. But first, let's go over our recent weather. We had some nice sunny weather this past week with some wind, rain, and clouds mixed in. And now for this week's. Our weather for the upcoming week is looking pretty mild with sunshine and some rain and clouds mixed in. Our high temperatures are going to be in the range from 58 to 60 degrees, and our low temperatures are going to be in the range from 51 to 53 degrees. It looks like we will have some great weather for being outdoors and celebrating the 4th of July. Our sunrise this morning was at 5:25 a.m. and our sunset will be at 9:14 p.m. Our low tides for today are at 5:09 a.m. and 4:55 p.m. Our high tides are at 11:48 a.m. and 11:19 p.m. To figure out tomorrow's tides, you can usually add around 45 minutes to an hour to each of today's tides and determine your approximate high and low tides for tomorrow. And that's all for today's edition of Ocosta News Weather for the Thursday, July 2nd morning announcements. Hope you can get outside this week and enjoy the outdoors. Thank you, stay safe, and have a great week.
Thanks, Grayson. And now here's another edition of The Bored Scientist with Mr. Roper.
Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 6A of The Bored Scientist. I'm your Bored Scientist for today, Mr. Roper, and today's activity is called Disappearing Eggshell. It's also 6A because I broke today's episode into two parts, A and B. A is going to be what we're going to do today, and that's going to be the setup. And then next week we're going to do Part B, where I'm going to do some interesting phenomena with our setup today. Alright, hey, our materials we're going to need is a raw egg. And I chose Eggland's Best there because it's got a stamp on it. And I want to see what happens to that stamp when the eggshell disappears. I also chose a clear container so I can see what's going on. Right? The egg is actually going to move around by itself, and I want you to be able to watch that as it does. And then our ingredient here is going to be vinegar. Right? On the bottom there it says 5% acidity. And that acidity is going to be what interacts with the eggshell and causes our chemical reaction. The last thing you're going to need is about time. Okay, you're going to need about 3 days. Mine is that I'm going to show you here in a minute. It's after 2.5. I'm going to give it one more day and then do some interesting phenomena with it that I'm going to share with you next week. All right, let's begin.
can't wait to see part 2 next time. Thank you.
Where's Dubs? Dubs has been out and about in our communities having its picture taken. Can you guess where Dubs was in this picture?
Stay to the end to find the answer. This is Ollie's Entertainment.
Hey Wildcats, I'm Olivia and welcome back to Ollie's Entertainment. The book for this week is the Atlas Obscura Explorer's Guide for the World's Most Adventurous Kid. It has 43 countries and 100 extraordinary places to visit when you read it. So I will be reading this over the next couple days and I will see how I like it. I come bearing info next week. Okay, bye.
I've got that book in my classroom, Olivia. It's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. Hey, Millie,
Yeah?
what holiday do we celebrate this Saturday?
4th of July.
Yeah, everybody stay safe out there on the beach. And remember, sign up to go out and clean up on the day after.
Our country is celebrating the 244th year since it gained its independence.
One of the symbols of our country is the Liberty Bell, and we have some facts we'd like to share.
It weighs 2,080 pounds.
Whoa! To visit the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, it costs nothing. It's free.
It's open 364 days a year except for Christmas.
Wow! It was built in 1751. Do you know how much it cost, Millie?
No, I do not.
In 1751, it cost $225.50 to make it and to ship it.
That was a lot of money back then.
Uh-huh.
If you'd like to contact us, no ideas, put your emails below. Thank you for watching our morning announcements. And don't forget, Dubs was at the Tokeland Hotel. See you next time on Ocosta News.
And remember, be a good kid. Do the right thing.
See ya.